Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take a pile of source material, dig through it, and pull out the key insights for you.
Yep, that's the mission.
And today, wow, it's a big one. We're looking at the major tech and science breakthroughs since the turn of the millennium, so since 2000.
It's quite a span. We've got sources covering everything from digital tech, space exploration, biotech, fundamental science. It's a lot.
It really is. Think of this as your rapid briefing on, well, a couple of decades of truly incredible progress.
And our goal really is to pinpoint the most significant changes, see how they connect, because they often do, and get a handle on their impact, how they affect you, how they shape things.
Exactly. This is your fast track to the key transformations of the 21st century so far. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. Where do you want to begin? The digital realm seems like a good starting point.
Agreed. That digital transformation, it feels foundational. The internet itself.
Right. It went from being, a somewhat specialized tool to this global platform we all live on now.
Totally changed the flow of information, commerce, connection.
Absolutely. Dismantled so many geographical barriers, didn't it? Which leads naturally into mobile.
Oh, yeah. I remember those early smartphones. Blackberries.
The Nokias running Symbian.
Right. Don't forget, Symbian was actually pretty advanced for its time. Some pioneering features there.
It really was. But, the big one, the real pivot point, has to be the iPhone launch in 2007.
That intuitive touchscreen. It just felt different.
It was a whole new paradigm, not just an upgrade. How we interacted with devices changed.
And then the App Store in 2008. Boom.
Yeah, that was the explosion, like you said. Suddenly getting software was frictionless.
And the ripple effects were huge. PCs, music, landlines, mobile usage just soared.
It wasn't just more apps, was it? It created this whole new ecosystem, a new demand, democratized software in a way.
Challenged the old gatekeepers.
Exactly. And we can't forget Android, founded way back in 2003, actually.
Right, and now it's the dominant OS globally by user numbers.
Despite, some ongoing debates about fragmentation or security, the sheer scale is undeniable. Over 91% global smartphone ownership by 2021.
Just staggering. And they're not just phones anymore, are they? There's central.
Communication, commerce, government services, education, health, media consumption, everything.
The economic impact must be massive.
It is. Mobile tech and services, something like 5% of global GDP in 2021, and projected to keep climbing steeply.
And the app economy itself.
Billions in revenue, millions of jobs globally. It's a clear progression, right? You needed the broadband first, then the early smartphones, then these incredibly rich ecosystems could build on top.
It's easy to just take it for granted now, but for so many, especially in developing nations, that smartphone is the internet.
It bypasses traditional infrastructure completely sometimes.
Yeah.
And here's a consequence that's maybe less obvious but crucial.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of user-generated data.
All that activity, location data.
It's the fuel, the essential feedstock for modern AI and big data analytics. Everything we do on these devices generates data.
Which is the perfect segue to cloud computing, the invisible engine driving so much of this.
Couldn't have said it better. That need for flexible, scalable computing power and storage really drove its rise in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And AWS launching in 2006 felt like a watershed moment.
It was pivotal. Amazon Web Services offering computing on demand. Google and Microsoft weren't far behind.
And the impact on business, scalability, cost effectiveness.
It seems fundamental now.
Oh, absolutely. More than 90% of organizations use the cloud now. A big chunk run like over half their operations there.
That's huge.
It means lower startup costs, faster time to market, better profitability. Studies even show smaller businesses, SMBs, that adopt cloud tech grow faster, make more profit.
So way beyond just storing files online. It's the backbone.
It's the fundamental infrastructure, yeah. It enables big data analysis. AI provides the massive storage, the processing power.
Including that specialized hardware, right? GPUs, TPUs.
Exactly. Things you need to train really complex AI models. And it's what makes the Internet of Things work seamlessly, syncing data in real time. It feels like it's really democratized access to serious computing power.
It has. The whole as-a-service model infrastructure, as-a-service platform software.
Yeah.
It levels the playing field.
Lowers the barrier for startups, smaller players.
Which fosters a much more dynamic, competitive innovation landscape.
Yeah.
That's a key takeaway.
Yeah.
And there's even a potential green angle, right? These huge specialized data centers can be way more energy efficient than everyone running their own servers on premise.
That's a really interesting point. Okay, another massive shift. Social media, how we connect, how we share. Completely different world.
Definitely. You think about the timeline. LinkedIn 03, Facebook 04, YouTube 05, Twitter now X in 06.
WhatsApp 09, Instagram 10 just exploded.
And this was the consolidation of Web 2.0, right? The participatory web. Users went from passive consumers to active creators. Blogs, wikis, YouTube channels.
It's hard to even imagine daily life without some of those platforms now. Facebook changed relationships. YouTube changed media.
Twitter X created this instant global broadcast medium, bypassing traditional news outlets sometimes.
But it's complex, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a duality there.
Very much so. On one hand, incredible democratization of voice, global connection, finding your tribe,
But on the other, huge challenges.
Yeah.
Data privacy concerns.
The potential for manipulation, misinformation spreading like wildfire,
Yeah.
content moderation struggles, Facebook's walled garden, the ethics of selecting so much personal data.
It's the classic double-edged sword. Empowering voices, user creation, but also polarization, misinformation, the power concentrated in a few big companies.
And new economies springing up, like the whole influencer economy, while the tech giants get bigger.
And the impact on politics, social movements, it's undeniable, both positive and negative.
New ways for citizens to engage, absolutely, but also new vulnerabilities for propaganda and manipulation, profoundly disruptive.
Okay, so we've connected people, now connecting things, the Internet of Things, IoT.
Right, this ever-expanding network of physical objects, devices, sensors embedded with software, connectivity, all collecting and sharing data.
And this really took off post-2000.
Yeah, it gained serious traction thanks to those advancements we already talked about. Yeah. Cloud computing providing the back-end infrastructure.
More storage, processing, training AI models.
Exactly. And better network tech, like 5G, enabling that real-time communication needed for many IoT applications.
And the applications are everywhere now, aren't they? Smart homes.
Appliances tracking inventory, yeah. Healthcare remote monitoring, more efficient services. Retail think AI inventory, automated checkout like Amazon Go, supply chain tracking.
Agriculture, too.
Smart tractors analyzing soil, detecting pests. Smart cities monitoring traffic flow. Even industrial uses like AI classifying waste using sensor data. The range is huge.
It seems like the real power comes from the convergence, though. IoT plus AI plus cloud.
That's the key synergy. IoT devices generate the raw data. The cloud handles the storage and massive computation. AI algorithms turn that data into actionable insights.
Creating that feedback loop.
Right. Data leads to insights which optimize the IoT system or spark entirely new applications.
So the benefits are clear. Efficiency, cost reduction, better decisions, new experiences.
Definitely. But we have to acknowledge the challenges too. Cybersecurity is a big one. More connected devices means a larger attack surface.
And data privacy again. These devices can collect very personal, sensitive information.
Crucial point. And then there's the societal impact, like potential job displacement as automation increases. That needs careful consideration.
Okay, huge shift now. Let's dive into biology and medicine. Some absolutely mind-blowing progress there in the last couple of decades.
Truly groundbreaking. Starting with the Human Genome Project, completed back in April 2003, that was monumental.
Having that first comprehensive map of our entire genetic code. 3 million bases.
And around 20,000. The rest, well, we're still figuring it out.
It was this massive international effort to understand our fundamental blueprint.
And the impact has been incredibly far-reaching. It turbocharged the study of biology, revolutionized medicine, laid the absolute groundwork for personalized medicine.
Tailoring treatments based on individual genetics.
Making them more effective, reducing side effects. It accelerated the discovery of genes linked to diseases, cancer, cystic fibrosis, Alzheimer's, leading to better diagnostics and targeted therapies.
And it even played a role in the COVID response.
Absolutely critical. That genomic knowledge was key to tracking SARS-CoV-2 variants so quickly and crucially for the rapid development of the vaccines.
Ah.
Plus, the HGP spurred countless biotech innovations, including setting the stage for technologies like CRISPR gene editing.
And the cost. The cost of sequencing just fell off a cliff.
Dramatically. What took 13 years and billions of dollars now can be done almost overnight for a few $100.
That democratization of sequencing must have fueled research globally.
It really did. The project's commitment to open access was key. And importantly, it forced crucial discussions about ethics, handling genetic data, privacy, consent, potential discrimination.
The ELSI program, ethical, legal, social implications. That was built in from the start, right?
Yes, a vital component. Which leads us perfectly to the next big revolution built on that genomic knowledge, CRISPR-Cas9.
Ah, CRISPR. Still sounds like science fiction sometimes, precision gene editing.
It felt like it. Developed around 2010, 2012, it was another watershed moment. A tool to make precise changes to DNA with, well, unprecedented ease and efficiency compared to older methods.
And it won the Nobel Prize for Charpentier and Doudna.
Deservedly so in 2020. Its potential is transformative.
How does it actually work in simple terms? Is it like genetic scissors?
That's a good analogy. It's based on a natural defense system in bacteria. You use a guide RNA molecule to direct the Cas9 enzyme, the scissors, to a very specific spot on the DNA.
Okay.
Cas9 cuts the DNA there. Then the cell's own repair mechanisms kick in, and scientists can kind of hijack that process to introduce changes, add, delete, or alter the genetic material precisely at that spot.
And the key was that it was so much easier and cheaper than previous techniques.
Exactly. Easier to design, faster, more cost-effective. That led to its incredibly rapid adoption worldwide. It really democratized genome editing research.
And the potential applications. Medicine, agriculture.
Huge potential. In medicine, we're seeing real progress towards treating or even curing genetic disorders. The first CRISPR-based therapy for sickle cell disease, Casgevy, was recently approved. Research is ongoing for muscular dystrophy, cancers, HIV.
And in agriculture.
Enhancing crop resilience to pests, disease, climate change, improving nutritional value, increasing yields, big implications for food security. And it's just an invaluable research tool for understanding basic biology.
But a tool this powerful and accessible, it must raise some serious ethical flags.
Absolutely. The big one is human germline editing making heritable changes. That sparks intense debate about designer babies, unintended long-term consequences, potentially worsening inequalities. Then there's equitable access to therapies. Will they only be available to the wealthy? And the environmental impact of releasing CRISPR-modified organisms. The whole incident with unregulated embryo editing a few years back really hammered home the need for strict oversight.
So, a global conversation is needed.
Urgently, there's broad consensus on needing proactive, global governance, strong ethical guidelines, and public dialogue for responsible development. You could say the HGP gave us the map.
And CRISPR gives us the editing tools.
Precisely, accelerating how we use that genomic knowledge.
Okay, another medical game changer, especially highlighted recently, mRNA vaccines.
Yes, though the research goes back decades, their role in the COVID-19 pandemic really thrust them into the spotlight.
How do they work differently from traditional vaccines?
Instead of introducing a weakened virus or a piece of viral protein, they deliver synthetic messenger RNA, mRNA, into your cells. This mRNA carries instructions.
Instructions for what?
For your own cells to temporarily produce a specific antigen like the spike protein of the SARS-CoV-2 virus.
So our cells become mini factories for a key part of the virus.
Exactly. The immune system then sees this antigen, recognizes it as foreign, and mounts a defense antibodies, T cells. It learns to fight the real pathogen without ever being exposed to it directly.
And the research groundwork was laid much earlier.
Oh, yes. Conceptual work in the late 80s, early animal trials in the 90s. By 2012, they'd shown complete protection in animal models for flu using mRNA.
But COVID was the catalyst.
A massive catalyst. The speed at which Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna developed and deployed their vaccines was unprecedented. It showcased a whole new paradigm.
What are the key advantages of this mRNA approach?
Speed and flexibility are huge. Because they're based on the genetic sequence, you can design and manufacture them much faster. You can adapt them quickly to new variants or even new pathogens.
That agility is crucial for pandemics.
Absolutely. Production can potentially be scaled up faster, maybe even cheaper eventually. They also tend to induce a very robust immune response, both antibodies and T cells.
And safety.
A very good safety profile generally.
Yeah.
They can't cause infection because there's no live virus, and the mRNA doesn't get integrated into your DNA. It's temporary instruction.
But now the potential uses are expanding way beyond COVID, right?
Exactly. Huge interest now for vaccines against flu, HIV, Zika, RSV, even personalized cancer vaccines.
Cancer vaccines, how does that work?
Tailoring an mRNA vaccine to target specific mutations found in an individual's tumor. Trials are happening for melanoma, colorectal cancer, breast cancer, also potential for autoimmune diseases like MS or type 1 diabetes, modulating the immune response, and maybe even treating rare genetic disorders by providing instructions for missing proteins, even early work in dentistry.
So a really versatile platform, What are the hurdles moving forward?
Scaling up manufacturing globally under strict quality control is one. Navigating regulations, logistics, especially the cold chain storage needed for some current mRNA vaccines.
And ongoing research.
Improving stability so they don't need ultra-cold storage. Enhancing efficacy further, and crucially ensuring equitable global access. It really feels like a fundamental shift.
It does. Okay, let's zoom right down to the nanoscale. Nanotechnology. It felt like buzzword for a while, but it seems to be delivering tangible results now.
It's definitely matured. We're talking about engineering functional systems at the molecular scale 1 to 100 nanometers. And materials at that scale can behave very differently than their bulk counterparts.
Opening up new possibilities.
Exactly. While the concepts go back further, the period since 2000 has seen it move from, promise to real applications. Early 2000s saw more funding, more public awareness, some controversy too, and the first products, often using bulk nanomaterials.
But the groundwork was laid earlier, like the tools to actually see at that scale.
Crucial groundwork. The scanning tunneling microscope, STM, in 81, the atomic force microscope, AFM, in 86. Those let us see and manipulate atoms and molecules.
And discovering materials like?
Fullerenes in 85, carbon nanotubes in 91, showed these unique nanoscale properties existed.
So those enabled the post-2000 boom.
Largely, yes. Since then, applications have proliferated. Medicine, gold nanoshells for cancer therapy, sophisticated drug delivery systems using nanostructured materials, electronics, quantum dots improving displays and lighting, dip pen nanolithography for making nanoscale circuits.
Even consumer goods early on.
Yeah, lightweight composites in car bumpers, tennis rackets, nanosilver as an antibacterial agent. And of course, the big one in nanomaterials, isolating graphene in 2004. We'll get to that.
It shows how enabling tools often come first.
It's a common pattern, and nanotech is inherently interdisciplinary medicine, electronics, materials, energy. It's moved from theory to practice.
Okay, shifting gears again.
Sure.
From the very small to the world of algorithms, artificial intelligence. The progress since 2000 has been staggering.
A true renaissance. AI has gone from a relatively niche academic field to something pervasive. And the engine behind much of this is machine learning, especially deep learning.
Deep learning, that's the key.
It's been the major driver since the mid-2000s. It uses large neural networks with many layers, hence deep, trained on massive data sets powered by advances in computing, especially GPUs.
GPUs.
Graphics cards, exactly. Their parallel processing power turned out to be perfect for training these huge networks, and the results have been breakthroughs across the board.
Like what sort of things?
Large-scale speech recognition, think Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, image recognition hitting, even exceeding human levels on specific tasks like recognizing traffic signs or faces.
Which is vital for things like self-driving cars.
And medical image analysis. Identifying genetic syndromes from photos, diagnosing conditions from scans, also finance, climate modeling, scientific data analysis. Anywhere, there's lots of complex data.
What were the key algorithmic advances within deep learning?
Several key architectures. Convolutional neural networks, CNNs, revolutionized image and video processing. Recurrent neural networks, RNNs, especially LSTMs, are great for sequential data like text and speech.
And more recently?
Generative adversarial networks, GANs, in 2014 enabled creating stunningly realistic synthetic images. And transformer models have completely changed the game in natural language processing.
It's that interplay again, isn't it? Algorithms, data, and compute power.
Precisely. That convergence took AI from the lab into the real world, and AI itself is becoming a powerful tool for science now.
Building on that, we have these large language models, LLMs. They feel like the current cutting edge.
They really represent the apex of language modeling right now. Building on decades of progress, but at an immense scale, billions of parameters, trained on unimaginable amounts of text.
And they can understand and generate language incredibly well. Almost human-like sometimes.
Often indistinguishable, yeah. Which is why they're finding applications everywhere. Drug discovery, finance, law, medicine, helping with research, summarizing complex information, drafting text, even reasoning.
Opening up new ways for humans and machines to collaborate.
And automating knowledge work. But, and it's a big but, their power brings complex societal and ethical issues.
Like the potential for misinformation.
At scale. Generating plausible-sounding but false narratives, fake news, propaganda. It lowers the barrier for malicious actors, too. Even concerns about synthesizing dangerous information despite safety filters.
And bias.
A major issue. They learn from their training data, so they inherit and can even amplify societal biases, racial, gender, cultural, leading to unfair outcomes or stereotypes, especially bias towards English, given the data imbalance.
There are also technical concerns, like memorizing training data, copyright issues.
Yes, occasionally outputting verbatim text they were trained on, and deeper questions about their role in shaping culture itself. The capabilities are advancing so fast, our understanding of the long-term impacts and governance is struggling to keep up.
So immense potential, but significant risks to manage.
Absolutely. And it all comes back to the data. Quality, curation, diversity, they're critical for responsible development. But the potential goes beyond text. Scientific discovery, code generation, modeling complex systems. It feels like a new era of AI-driven innovation.
Okay, let's make a huge jump now. From AI algorithms to the cosmos itself. Fundamental physics and space exploration breakthroughs. That first detection of gravitational waves still blows my mind.
A landmark moment in science. September 2015, LIGO and Virgo collaborations detecting those ripples in spacetime predicted by Einstein a century before.
From two black holes merging, like 1.3 billion light years away.
That's the one, GW 150912. It was stunning confirmation of general relativity, but more than that, it opened a completely new window on the universe, gravitational wave astronomy.
Letting us hear events we couldn't see before.
Exactly. Events involving objects that emit little or no light, like merging black holes or neutron stars. These waves carry unique information about their origins, about gravity under extreme conditions, information we couldn't get any other way.
So it wasn't just the first detection, but the first observation of merging black holes, too.
Correct. It gives us the potential to probe deeper into space, further back in time, and combining it with light-based astronomy and neutrino detection multi-messenger astronomy gives a much richer picture.
The sensitivity needed is just incredible. Detecting changes smaller than a fraction of a proton's width.
It's a triumph of experimental physics and engineering, decades in the making. It literally gave us a new sense to perceive the cosmos. The Nobel Prize in 2017 for Weiss, Barish, and Thorne was highly deserved.
And staying out in the cosmos.
Yeah.
The number of exoplanets discovered since 2000 is just phenomenal.
Completely transformed the field. We've gone from a handful of known exoplanets to, well, thousands. Nearly 6,000 confirmed planets in over 4,400 systems as of early 2025.
Almost 1,000 systems with multiple planets.
Liftoff of the Delta rocket carrying GLAST,
The pace
gamma ray
is incredible.
telescope
It really is.
searching
Most
for
are found
unseen
indirectly,
physics
right?
in the
transit
stars
method,
of the
watching
galaxies.
for the tiny dip in starlight as a planet crosses in front.
Or the radial velocity method detecting the star's wobble from the planet's gravity.
Exactly, though some have been directly imaged too. Key missions since 2000 really drove this. Hubble detected the first exoplanet atmosphere back in 2001.
And the Kepler Space Telescope launched in 2009. That was a game changer.
Huge. Kepler found thousands. Showed us that small, potentially rocky planets in habitable zones are common, especially around smaller M-dwarf stars. It changed our whole perspective on planetary prevalence.
And now TESS is continuing that work, finding planets around nearby stars.
Right. TESS identifies candidates for follow-up, and that follow-up, the characterization, is where things are really exciting now, thanks to the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST.
Moving beyond just finding them to figuring out what they're like.
Exactly. JWST can analyze their atmospheres in detail. It found carbon dioxide, water vapor, even hints of photochemistry on WASP 39b.
Photochemistry, meaning chemical reactions driven by starlight.
Yes, and detecting that is a step towards potentially finding biosignatures like ozone in the atmospheres of Earth-like worlds.
So the progression is clear. Detection, statistics, now detailed characterization.
We know planets are everywhere. Now the quest is to find the potentially habitable ones and understand what makes them tick. Assessing their orbits, atmospheres, the nature of their star, it's getting incredibly sophisticated.
Bringing it closer to home, Mars. The rover missions since 2000 have been a constant stream of discoveries.
Mars exploration has been a major focus, especially for NASA. Spirit and Opportunity, the Mars exploration rovers, landed in 2004.
Opportunity's longevity was amazing, over 14 years, 45 kilometers.
Record-breaking. Both found strong evidence for past water. Then came Curiosity in 2012. bigger, more capable, exploring Gale Crater, finding evidence of ancient habitable environments, still going strong.
And Perseverance landed in 2021.
In Jezero Crater, explicitly looking for signs of past microbial life, collecting samples for potential return to Earth, and it carried Ingenuity.
The little helicopter, first powered flight on another planet.
Incredible achievement. It vastly exceeded expectations. Plus, the Phoenix lander confirmed subsurface water ice back in 2008. So the picture is clear. Mars was once warmer, wetter, potentially habitable.
And it's becoming more international now. China's Zhurong rover
Landed successfully in 2021. ESA's ExoMars rover is still planned, though delayed. NASA's iterative approach building on previous missions has been really effective.
And these robots pave the way for humans.
That's a key goal, gathering data on the environment, resources, hazards, preparing for eventual human exploration. Mars continues to capture the world's imagination.
Absolutely. And speaking of getting to space, the rise of private spaceflight, that feels like one of the biggest shifts of the 21st century.
It's been transformative. Companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin have completely changed the landscape.
SpaceX especially, with reusable rockets. Falcon 9.
Hundreds of successful launches, many using reused boosters. It drastically cut launch costs and increased frequency. That's been hugely disruptive.
And they returned human launch capability to the U.S. with Crew Dragon in 2020.
Big moment. Plus, they're deploying Starlink, their satellite internet constellation, becoming a major telecom player, and then their Starship. Their ambitions are huge.
Blue Origin is catching up too. New Shepard for tourism, and now New Glenn.
Reportedly had its first successful launch early 2025. It's a heavy-lift reusable competitor to Falcon 9. They're also building their own satellite internet constellation, Project Kuiper.
So the impact is lower costs, more competition, more launches.
All of the above. It's fostered a much more innovative industry. Private companies are launching satellites routinely now for all sorts of customers.
And the partnerships with NASA seem crucial.
Public-private partnerships are key. NASA can leverage commercial capabilities for low Earth orbit, freeing them up to focus on deep space exploration. It's a force multiplier.
Space isn't just for governments anymore, it's a real economy.
Rapidly becoming one. Job creation, tech spin-offs, new markets like satellite internet, and the competition drives innovation. Reusability, in particular, fundamentally changed the math of space operations.
Okay, let's ground ourselves again and focus on sustainability, energy, and environment. Huge progress in renewables, right?
Remarkable advancements, especially in solar panel and wind turbine tech. Efficiency up, costs way down.
Solar panel efficiency. Lab records near 50% now.
Yeah, though commercial panels are more like 20–25%. But the cost drop is the big story, plummeted around 90% in 2 decades. Maybe $0.20 per watt now, down from dollars.
What drove that? Better silicon, thin films.
Improvements in crystalline silicon, yeah. Thin film tech offering flexibility. PERC technology boosting efficiency. And exciting research in things like perovskites, potentially higher efficiency, lower cost, though stability is still a challenge.
Plus innovations like bifacial panels, tracking systems.
Even better aesthetics like solar roof tiles, all contributing to making solar much more viable.
And wind turbines. They've just gotten enormous.
Dramatically scaled up. Onshore, taller towers, much longer blades. Offshore, they're truly massive. 15 milliW turbines are becoming common, with rotors sweeping huge areas.
Driven by better blades, taller towers, smarter controls.
Advanced aerodynamics, new materials for blades making them lighter and stronger. On-site tower manufacturing, AI optimizing turbine performance in real time. Advanced drivetrains, a lot of engineering sophistication.
It creates that virtuous cycle, doesn't it? Better tech, lower costs, more deployment.
Exactly. Driven by materials, science, engineering, and now system-level optimization for grid integration.
But for renewables to dominate, you need storage. Battery tech has been key.
Absolutely critical. Lithium-ion batteries have led the charge, dramatic improvements in energy density, cost, safety.
And the scale of production is massive now.
Huge. Around 1 terawatt-hour annual capacity globally, largely driven by the electric vehicle boom.
So the EV market drove battery R&D and cost reductions.
Definitely. And those benefits spill over into grid-scale storage, which is becoming vital as more renewables come online, storing excess solar or wind power for later use.
Like in California, preventing blackouts.
Exactly. Their grid battery capacity has exploded, and safety has improved dramatically too, with far fewer incidents thanks to better tech and standards.
What's next? Solid-state batteries.
That's a major research focus, potentially higher density, safer, longer life. Also tackling installation costs and looking beyond lithium for very long duration storage. Batteries are the linchpin for decarbonization.
Which leads right into the electric vehicle revolution. Seems like it's finally hitting critical mass.
The acceleration is undeniable, driven by those battery improvements, environmental concerns, government policies. BEV adoption is seen as essential for cutting transport emissions.
And the growth is exponential, doubling every 15 months or so.
Roughly, yeah. Projections suggest EVs could be the majority of new cars in places like the EU within the decade.
With huge implications. Charging infrastructure, grid impacts, disrupting the auto industry.
Geopolitical shifts, too, away from oil towards battery minerals. It's all deeply connected to battery tech. Modern EVs are so much more advanced than early hybrids, sophisticated battery management, smart charging.
And beyond energy and transport, chemistry itself is getting greener.
Significant push towards sustainable manufacturing. Reducing hazardous substances, waste. Greener chemistry is the goal.
Like finding better ways to make molecules.
Exactly. Progress in cross-coupling reactions fundamental for making pharmaceuticals, materials. Traditional methods often used hazardous reagents, generated waste.
But new methods are emerging.
Yeah. Work like Professor Krisha's using simple sodium formate instead of dangerous organometallics. It's safer, cheaper, less wasteful, more practical for industry.
Resulting from long-term research.
Often decades of fundamental work. It's about reducing the environmental footprint across major industries by making the basic chemical building blocks more sustainably.
Finally, let's look at our understanding of Earth itself. Any key discoveries about our planet?
Yes, fascinating insights into both deep Earth processes and human impacts on the surface. Advanced techniques, long-term data are key.
Like inside the Earth, the core.
Our view of the inner core is changing, not just a simple solid ball. Evidence suggests it's more dynamic, maybe deformation near the surface, possibly linked to tiny changes in Earth's rotation and day length.
Driven by the molten outer core.
That's the hypothesis. It affects how we understand Earth's internal heat, its magnetic field.
Yeah.
Still areas of active research.
And human impacts. You mentioned Earth's rotation. Climate change is affecting that.
Measurably, yes. The redistribution of mass from melting ice sheets and groundwater changes is actually nudging Earth's spin axis polar motion.
Why?
An analysis shows almost all the recent wobble is due to these climate-related mass shifts. Even the length of day is increasing slightly faster since 2000.
Because melting ice moves water towards the equator.
Exactly. It makes the Earth slightly more ablate, slows the spin like a skater extending their arms. It's a direct human fingerprint on a fundamental planetary parameter.
A sobering thought.
It underscores that our activities are altering the planet's basic mechanics now. Requires long-term data, satellite measurements, sophisticated analysis.
Okay, we absolutely have to talk about new materials. Graphene has been the superstar since 2000.
A true wonder material. That single layer of carbon atoms in a honeycomb lattice isolated by Game and Novoselov in 2004 using adhesive tape.
Still amazing. Won them the Nobel in 2010.
And opened up the whole field of 2D materials. Its properties are just exceptional. Thinnest material, incredibly strong, 200 times steel, flexible, transparent, amazing conductor of heat and electricity.
And new properties are still being discovered.
Unconventional ferroelectricity, record magnetoresistance, modified forms like holy graphene with even better conductivity.
So the potential applications are just vast.
Electronics replacing ITO and touchscreens, flexible displays, faster transistors, energy-better batteries, supercapacitors, solar cells, biomedical ultra-sensitive sensors, potential for drug delivery, tissue engineering.
Advanced composites, smart concrete.
Enhancing strength and conductivity. Graphene-coated sand for concrete that can monitor itself, or even heat pavements, maybe charge EVs wirelessly. Also protective coatings, water purification membranes, catalysts. The list goes on.
But getting it from the lab to mass market, challenges remain.
Scalable, cost-effective production of consistently high-quality graphene is still the main hurdle, though new methods are improving things. And for bioapplications, safety and biocompatibility need thorough vetting. Widespread use might still be closer to 2030 for some things.
It's a classic example of a platform material driving innovation everywhere.
Absolutely. Shows the power of fundamental materials science.
Lastly, let's touch on new frameworks. Blockchain technology emerged from this period too.
Originating with Bitcoin in 2008, introducing distributed ledger technology, DLT. It's a shared, duplicated digital ledger.
Distributed across many computers, cryptographically linked blocks, making it tamper-proof.
Highly tamper-resistant, yes. Offering transparency, traceability, immutability. It can be public, private, or consortium-based.
And the potential economic impact is huge, projected in trillions.
The projections are massive. Beyond crypto, applications are being explored in finest audits, smart contracts, faster settlements, supply chain tracking goods, fighting counterfeits, crowdfunding, e-waste management.
It arose partly in response to the 2008 financial crisis, right? A desire for less centralized trust.
That's part of the narrative. Decentralization, transparency, immutability, addressing concerns about opacity and single points of failure in traditional systems. It's seen as infrastructure for new models like DeFi, new governance structures.
But adoption faces hurdles: scalability, security, regulation.
All of those. Technical challenges like transaction speed and security remain. Balancing transparency and privacy. Integrating with old systems is complex and costly. Regulations are still evolving. Plus, workforce skills, public trust, and the energy consumption of some networks are ongoing issues.
Wow. We have covered an immense amount of ground.
Yeah.
Looking back across all these breakthroughs, what are the big connecting themes for you?
Well, the absolute ascendance of data is undeniable. Everything generates it, everything consumes it. Digital tech is the thread running through almost everything.
And convergence, different fields coming together.
Absolutely. Convergence and interdisciplinarity are driving so much innovation. Physics enabling computing, computing enabling biology, materials, science impacting energy. It's all interconnected.
And just the sheer acceleration of the innovation cycle itself.
It feels like it's constantly speeding up in many areas.
With massive societal, economic, and ethical ripple effects we're still navigating.
Exactly. And that sustainability imperative, it's becoming less of a choice and more of a core driver for future innovation.
Plus, the challenge of managing these powerful dual-use technologies, ensuring the benefits are shared.
That remains a critical, ongoing challenge. Equitable access is key.
So, if you had to leave our listener with one final thought after this deep dive.
It's perhaps that the most profound impacts are often the ones we don't see coming. The unintended consequences, the surprising synergies. Navigating this future demands more than just ingenuity. It requires wisdom, foresight, and a real commitment to using these tools ethically and beneficially.
For everyone and for the planet.
Precisely. We need those proactive, ethical discussions and adaptive regulatory frameworks to try and keep pace with the technology itself.
A crucial point. We hope that